So does anyone know who Dwight D. Eisenhower is? You might know that he was our 35th president. You might know that he was commander of all Allied forces during World War II. But do you really know anything besides that? Well, we didn't. So because of this, we were curious and we decided to investigate and do our speech on Dwight D. Eisenhower. Dwight D. Eisenhower was born in October 1890 to a working class family in Texas. He had 7 other siblings and grew up in a modest house and no splendor for him. But in spite of his modest upbringings, he grew up to become president, and he attended West Point. That's the Eisenhower family, and that's Eisenhower later as a general. So he went to West Point and graduated. He enlisted in the infantry as an officer, and even though having no command experience, he quickly rose through the ranks and was promoted to a general. By 1943, in the middle of World War II, he was promoted to Supreme Commander of Allied Forces. So he oversaw all Allied Forces operations, landings. He was one of the masterminds behind the D-Day landings. And after the war, he assumed that he would go quietly into retirement, like most generals do. But he was president of Columbia University as well after that. And after the war, in 1953, he was elected president. He was elected the Republican nominee because of his popularity. I like Ike was his slogan. And as president, he was he was known for kind of the 50s feel, conformity, formalism, and but he did segregate the military, and he did he oversaw the end of the Korean War. He signed the truce between North Korea and South Korea. And we chose his farewell address because it's his most remembered speech because of the warnings he gives the American people, and his talks about overspending and the military-industrial complex. He invented that term there. So today we're going to talk about why we chose Dwight D. Eisenhower as our speaker. Second, we're going to discuss the significance of his speech, his farewell address to the American people. Third, we'll evaluate his tactics, his speaking style, and how they correlate to what we learned in class. And finally, we will discuss why Dwight D. Eisenhower inspired us. So now, Jessica will give you some insight as to why we chose farewell.
So we chose Dwight D. Eisenhower out of curiosity. We knew he was president, but we didn't really know too much about what his speeches were or what they resembled. We saw his name throughout the community. The Eisenhower Medical Center, we knew it was the president and stuff, and that's him. And we didn't want to pick just a normal speaker that everybody knew about and knew all his speeches. So we just chose him just to learn more about him and the president. His farewell address was a speech to raise the issues about the Cold War and the role of the U.S. Armed Forces. We want to be able to learn how to emulate his public speaking skills in a very formal way, so that it addresses everyone no matter what their preferences are. We chose a farewell address over his other speeches because of the directness and forcefulness that Eisenhower brought to the table. In the hour of pressing issues and that Americans were concerned about, he wanted to bring issues that we all were relating to. He talks about the Soviet Union and overspreading the cautions Americans deal with today. He leaves a lasting impression of hope. So now Mitch is going to talk about the significance of his speech.
President Eisenhower's farewell address was more than just a simple speech. That's why it is significant. Eisenhower talks about issues of concerns to the future of America and gives them timely warning to the American people as well. He talks about the ideological conflict with Soviet Union and how it will affect the decisions that government will make. He also talks about the dangers of overspending on public programs and military experiments, and he talks about responsible use of American military power. He also addresses the issue of the new military-industrial complex and how it will remain a permanent part of America, and cautions to not let it grow to a big influence because of this. His farewell address is significant. His farewell address is significant. Jesus will now explain to you what Eisenhower uses in his speech to keep his audience attention.
So first, this wasn't a speech to like a direct audience, speaking from the Capitol or from the White House to a gathering of people. It was a televised address. By this point, television had gained. Most people had televisions, and so it was thought that the most direct way and the most appropriate way to find a large audience for his farewell address was to give via television. So his direct audience was the television crew and the people in the studio listening. But really, his intended audience was millions of people at home watching in living rooms, watching and listening to what Dwight Eisenhower was saying. So because of that, he couldn't really gauge a direct emotional response, but he kind of knew what he was going for. Kind of a warm, paternal feel, and his calm, soft voice kind of, it reminds you of the 50s, and Americans at this time felt at ease with that. And he used his speaking style to relate and communicate to everyday Americans. He uses an attention getter by acknowledging incoming President JFK in his speech and saying he's kind of addressing the speech to JFK as well, talking about the ideological conflict with the Soviet Union, military-industrial complex, to not let it gain influence over everyday American life as it has done today. The armaments industry controls a huge influence in Washington. They lobby, they make legislation, and that's sometimes it's good, but most of the time it's detrimental to American society. So because Americans feel at ease with Ike, and because of this, and he used this to make him feel at ease with the uncertain future, the tumult of the 60s and everything that happened then. He didn't foresee that, but he kind of got the general sense that maybe something big was going on. He tried to give hope to Americans to, kind of just tough it out in the future. That's why speech. He used these speaking characteristics to convey that to the people. And Jessica and I will share with you why I inspired us.
Well, he can speak to like a large audience. We speak in front of like 20 people and we're nervous, and he speaks to thousands of people on this big at the United Nations. And that's him addressing, for his farewell address, he just had to talk to a few cameramen, and that's him actually on the TV, and so he was reached to millions. We were inspired by Eisenhower, or Ike as the people called him, for his calm and forceful speaking style. And he had a very formal delivery, so it was reached to everyone. His speech has much power, and we can find it even relevant today with the war going on, and he was addressing this. The speech inspired us by offering hope in the face of difficult and frightening situations. We were also inspired by him because, he grew up in a modest family, a normal family, went into the military and then rose rank rapidly just because he was a good person. And, just like us, we can start from something small and become even bigger people and make a bigger significance in the world. So now Mitch will say why the conclusion.
Oh. We have just talked to you about the significance of Dwight D. Eisenhower, what made his farewell address so important, and how we were able to relate it to past examples. And note one thing, not every great spirit comes from something great. And we hope that you can see it in yourself to make a change no matter where you're from. Thank you for your time.